Moving on, we have a Arrow video double feature of Epistle for Ringo and The Return of Ringo. Now this is the standard edition, not featuring a booklet or anything, so I won't bother taking it out of the protective sleeve for this one. I think you guys have a fair idea of the edition as it is right there. Oh, this isn't even taped shut, so I'll have to I'll have to do that. Anyway, if you guys want to read up on what is contained here, feel free to pause and do so. Anyway, these are two very good spaghetti westerns, my favorite being The Return of Ringo. But great films featuring Fernando Sancho, Nis Navarro, Giuliano Gemma stars in both of them. And Duccio Tessari does a good job, a very good job, a great job actually, in directing both films. So, Pistol for Ringo and The Return of Ringo, check them out. Next up, we have a Klaus Kinski, really brutal, disturbing film. This is what is this film called? Pray for the Living, Shoot for the Dead, which this one is a top 20 Tarantino film, and this is a Blu-ray release, again in the Westerns Unchained collection from Koch Media. And if you guys are a fan of Tarantino and The Hateful Eight, watch this film. You will find that maybe he took a couple of bits from this one, particularly the scenes where The Hateful Eight in that film are at the at Minnie's haberdashery. Now this film sort of starts like The Hateful Eight, where people are locked in a haberdashery or a waiting station or whatever. So, and tensions rise and tensions build, especially with Kinski's character. So for those who like Hateful Eight, see where it came from. And also watch The Great Silence. This will make a great double feature with The Great Silence. Especially if you want to see Hateful Eight influences. So, there you go. Next up is We're Up to the Peace, obviously. And this is The Price of Death. Now, despite this being a big ripoff from a Sartana poster, I think this is from the first or the second Sartana film. This is not a Sartana film. This is starring Johnny Garco, and not John Garco, Gianni, and Klaus Kinski, who were both in the first two Sartana films. But this is definitely a different film than a Sartana one. Actually, this is a German hardbox edition by... we did this... Oh yeah, X-Rated. That's actually the name of the company. Yeah, not the biggest fan of the hard box here because this disc keeps getting loose. However, the disc has English audio, so and this is a DVD, by the way. But I always thought this was a neat addition, very cool. When you put it like this, you sort of have like a little lobby card thing going on, mini poster, whatever. So yeah, pretty decent film. Not a particularly great one, but they can't all be great. Anyway, this one here for me is a very underrated film. This is I hate the English title. Let me put that up first. I hate the title Ringo and His Golden Pistol. Makes it sound too much like a James Bond western or something. I much prefer Johnny Oro, aka Johnny Gold. It's this one again starring Mark Damon and directed by Sergio Corbucci. This sort of a forgotten Corbucci film. It came between Minnesota Clay and Django. He did this right before Django. This is the Warner Archive DVD, by the way. So this is a burn-on-demand DVD, but it's the best way to get this. So, yeah, there you go. Ringo and the Golden Pistol. Underrated, in my opinion. Next up is the big sequel to The Big Gun Down. This is Run Man Run, with Thomas Millian reprising his Cuchillo role from The Big Gun Down, and Sergio Slima once again directing. However, the biggest mistake in this film and the biggest thing that you miss in terms of being a sequel to The Big Gun Down, there's no Lee Van Cleef. Now, it's still a good film, don't get me wrong, it's still a good film, but the presence of Van Cleef is definitely missed. Donald O'Brien or Donald O'Brien, Certainly is a good actor in these spaghetti westerns, and I'm not going to deny that. He's been in so many. He's also a bit of a prolific character actor in the genre. But I just wish that they somehow could have gotten Lee Van Cleef back for this. But anyway, it is a sequel to The Big Gun Down. It is Thomas Millian once again in his big role of Cuchillo, and this time obviously taking the lead. Which is good because I do really like Thomas Millian. He's another one of my favorite actors of the entire spaghetti western genre. So, but overall the film was just a bit disappointing. And of all three of Solima's spaghetti western, it is my least favorite. But you know, that doesn't make it a bad one by any means. But anyway, next up we have another great film in my opinion, The Ruthless 4 with Gilbert Roland, Van Heflin, George Hilton, and Klaus Kinski once again. Really good film about this gold that these four guys are going to look for, and they get suspicious. It's one of those, you know, we're looking for treasure and we're all greedy and we're all double crossing each other, those kinds of films. But a really good one. Has a little booklet here, but I don't think there are any pictures or illustrations in here. I think this is okay. Wait, yeah, there's one picture. I think it's all text, which yeah. But still very, oh, there you go, Kinski right there. Still a cool edition by Koch Media. By Koch Media they put this out actually. A very good film. Definitely get this one if you can. This is the best version out there as far as I'm aware. So, The Ruthless 4. Getting closer to the end. And we have another Kobuchi film. One of his... I still like this, but I sort of have this in the lower tier of Kobuchi films. But it's still a decent, very good spaghetti western. This is The Specialist, in the edition put out by Eureka in the UK. With some cool special features, including audio commentary by Alex Cox. And interviews discussing the film and such. Alternate artwork on the Amaray. The disc looks really great. They done a great job on the restoration of the film. And you also have a little booklet right here, starring Johnny Halliday, who was more known for his musical abilities and his musical talents than for his acting, as far as I'm aware. But he's in this film, and you also have Gaston Mouchen, Mario Ado, Francois Fabian, Gino Pernice, Remo De Angelis. He's a actor that appears in a few spaghetti westerns. Yeah, this one followed Corbucci's masterpiece and his grand epic, as far as I'm concerned. The Great Silence. And it has elements of The Great Silence. However, it's nowhere near The Great Silence. Not by a mile, as far as I'm... and there is The Great Silence, speaking of the devil. Not by a mile, if you ask me. It's good. Like I said, it's good, but... especially after watching Corbucci's previous couple of films, like, you know, Django, The Great Silence, The Mercenary, Navajo Joe, Hellbenders, which is a favorite of mine. This one's definitely is a disappointing one for me, personally, anyway. So, yeah, there you go. Gil Specialisti. And next up we have a Lee Van Cleef spaghetti western from the early 70s. And this is where the genre was sort of fading. They were trying new ideas, you know, like the comedies, and they were also doing hybrids like Kung Fu meets spaghetti western, which is what this is. This is The Stranger and the Gunfighter, aka Blood Money, directed by Anthony Dawson, which is a pseudonym for Antonio Margariti. And this Spanish Blu-ray, the only Blu-ray out there to pick up, or available to pick up, I should say. And it does have English audio, which is good. And it's a very good quality. So not the best Lee Van Cleef film, but I actually had a lot of fun with this film. I actually do like it when they sort of try something like this, East meets West. Most famously, of course, Red Son with Charles Bronson and Toshiro Mifune. That's the best example of that I can think of, and that film is fantastic. And this one, although not as fantastic as that film, still really good in my opinion. I really enjoyed it. Next up, one of my favorite spaghetti westerns. I love this one, A Stranger in Town with Tony Anthony, Frank Wolf. For my money, probably Frank Wolf's best villain role. If I'm truly honest, he's played plenty of great villains. He also played great heroic figures in the film and spaghetti westerns. But as far as villains go, I think this role here as Aguilar is his best. I love this film. I love the simplicity of this film. You know, this is a very low budget film, made very much on a shoestring budget. But I don't know. I just really always liked this film. This film has always resonated with me. I always liked this one. Even more than the sequel, which we are going to get to right now. The Stranger Returns. Again, with Tony Anthony. They actually did a third film, which I don't have yet. And they did, I believe, another one, which was called Get Mean. I haven't seen that one as well. But I've heard, I mean, the third one I've heard is still gets a pass. That's still a good one for some people. But the fourth one, pretty much, it has nothing to do with a Western anymore. So so I'm holding off on those two films for now. But anyway, good sequel, this one. A lot of people consider this even better than the first one. But for me, I just love, like I said, that simplicity of the first one. Of A Stranger in Town. And Frank Wolf as the villain, man. You know, I think a large part of why I love that film so much is because of him. He was so great as the villain in that one. Really stole the show, in my opinion. And here you have, these are two DVDs of The Stranger Returns, which also is called Un uomo, un cavallo, un pistola, which means a man, a horse, and a gun, or a pistol, if you want to be more specific. Anyway, yeah, those are the two Stranger films that I own. Don't own the other ones. Next up, we have a film with one of the most complicated titles. I've never been able to get this rolling off the tongue, but let's give it a shot. It's A Sky Full of Stars for a Roof. Or is that a roof full of stars? I don't know, it's something like that. Anyway, the Germans call it Amigos, which I think is a much simpler title, which, yeah, let's go with that, Amigos. Directed by Giulio Petroni, who did, I think he did Death Rides a Horse. Yeah, he's the director of Death Rides a Horse, starring Giuliano Gemma and Mario Adorf. Great score by the maestro Ennio Morricone, a very underrated score, actually. And this is more, they sort of lean into comedy elements in this film, but it's still a pretty serious, straightforward revenge western. Sort of buddy western. You can maybe think of it as like a Lethal Weapon, but then a western version, because it's sort of the buddy story between Gemma and Adorf. Which one can also say it's like Trinity and Bambino, but, you know. Anyway, I like this film, despite the weird title that I always get confused. But next up is one of my favorite Mexican revolutionary films and one of my favorite Thomas Milian films, The Peppa, which, believe it or not, also co-stars Orson Welles. Again, directed by Giulio Petroni, who directed that Sky Full of Something film and Death Rides a Horse. And he also did Nest of Vipers, if I'm not mistaken. And again, a great score by Ennio Morricone on this one, The Peppa. Love the original poster art right there. Very, very underrated film. You don't hear many people talk about this one, but it is in Tarantino's top 20 once again. So next up is a sort of average Franco Nero film. Still one that I enjoy, but it's Texas Adios. This is the Arrow Video release. Again, we don't have a booklet version. This is the reprinted Amaray version without the booklet and stuff, but still some great special features on here. But like I said, this is sort of an average Franco Nero spaghetti western, not one of his best. I still like it, like I said, but yeah. Next up is more of a Euro western than a spaghetti western, but I decided to throw it in anyway. A Town Called Hell, which is starring Robert Shaw, Stella Stevens, Martin Landau, and Tally, baby. Who loves you? Who loves you, baby? Always love and get a kick out of seeing Telly Savalas. This is a Spanish Blu-ray. I do know that there is a US Blu-ray of this. I believe Kino Lorber, which I might consider getting, because I wasn't aware of that release when I bought this. So, however, great cast. You can see even Al Lettery and Fernando Rey gets in this film. So yeah, more of a Euro Western, but I still count it. So there you go. Next up, we have a few more Wild East titles. We're almost done. I think we have about 5 films left. Anyway, this is The Tramplers, starring Joseph Kahn, Gordon Scott, and James Mitchum, and a appearance by a young Franco Nero before he did Django. This is sort of a one could almost sort of view this as a double bill film or twin film to the Hellbenders. It's sort of the same story. It works very well as a double feature with the Hellbenders, let's put it that way, because you have, in both films, Joseph Kahn pretty much playing a similar character. So yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. I think the Hellbenders is definitely the film that I prefer out of the two, but this definitely ain't bad at all. Next up, we have another great double feature by Wild East of Sonny and Jet and The Ugly Ones. Now, The Ugly Ones is released on Blu-ray by Wild East, and it's the very last release that they did before they closed the doors. No, I don't own it yet. I still have to pick it up, but Sonny and Jet is a really underrated film. This is a Sergio Corbucci film, one of Corbucci's last ones. Very underrated in my opinion. I always like this one. And The Ugly Ones is also a very good film. It's actually the first spaghetti western that Thomas Milian did, and this is a Thomas Milian double feature. Double the Milian, double the trouble. And next up we have another great double feature of Gianni Garco and Those Dirty Dogs, and Giuliano Gemma in Walnut, which is directed by Calvin J. Paget, aka Giorgio Froni, who did, I think, 3 films with Gemma, but all 3 of them are great in my opinion. And this is the superior film of this double feature. I wasn't too blown away with Those Dirty Dogs. It's still a good film, but it was a late one in the genre from the early 70s, if I'm not mistaken. And it could have been better. But Walnut with Giuliano Gemma, definitely one that I recommend. It's one of Gemma's best, in my opinion. And yeah, there you go. Next up, we have the final Corbucci film in the collection, and this is the only film in the collection that is a bootleg, guys. This film is just not available anywhere with an English audio, except for here on this bootleg DVD, which you're gonna recognize them because they're the purple discs. I put it in not I put it, but I got this from, once again, Eastwood for Life fan Carlos. He put this in a white case. I kept it in a white case to differentiate it from the other DVDs, so that I know in my mind that this is a bootleg. But this is the only way I could get this film, and I really, from the bottom of my heart, really thank Carlos for going out his way getting this edition for me. He tried and tried again. There's a seller on eBay. Long story short, he really doesn't do these anymore. Only sometimes, occasionally as a favor, and Carlos sort of kept pushing him, like, hey, could you do that film for me again? Could you do? And finally, it happened. So many thanks, Carlos, and many thanks to the seller, who I don't know, but yeah, the only way to get this film, What Am I Doing in the Middle of the Revolution? It was a disappointing one. It's my least favorite Corbucci film, but I still had to get it to complete my Corbucci collection, because Corbucci is my favorite director besides Leone, which, that's just simple fact. he's the second Sergio. He is, you have Sergio Leone and then you have Kobuchi. And speaking of Kobuchi, we do have the last film of his. Wait, I said this was the last one in my collection. Obviously didn't know that I still had this one. But this is the last one in my collection and the last one I'm going to show you. And the last one in my Kobuchi collection. And a lot of laughs for this one. The last film that he did as a spaghetti western director. The last spaghetti western that he did. This is the white, the yellow, and the black with Thomas Milian, Eli Wallach, and Giuliano Gemma. 3 great actors. However, this is a comedy. And actually, as far as the comedies go, I actually do like this film. This film is universally hated by spaghetti western fans. I know Jay Jennings and Tom Betts on the Spaghetti Westerns podcast, they hate this film. And they always, pretty much every episode it's mentioned, like, oh, that terrible yellow, black, gold film or whatever it was. No, first of all, it's the yellow, it's a white, yellow, and black. And it's not that bad as people make it out. Yes, it's not a good film. I mean, this is my second least favorite Kobuchi film, My least favorite is What Am I Doing in the Middle of the Revolution than this one. But, yeah, I enjoyed it for what it was. I think the most annoying thing about this film for many people is Thomas Milian. As the samurai, he's talking with this very annoying, over-the-top Japanese accent, which makes him very hard to understand. But like I said, I still enjoy the film. It's just a very disappointing one because with these 3 actors, it should have been much better, and especially these 3 actors and this director. So yeah, a disappointing film, but still one that I can get some enjoyment out of. So anyway, that's the Spaghetti Western collection in its entirety. Whew. And that's it. We finally did the updated Spaghetti Western collection. Do hope you all enjoyed seeing the additions. The next updated collection video I'm going to do is probably going to be Clint Eastwood. One thing I do have to say is the actual video of me showing the collection and me doing the intros and outros, of course, it's done separately. So this has been recorded a few weeks and months after I actually filmed the updated collection, which I did in... First part was around Christmas time, and the second part was in mid to late January, and we're now filming this intro and outro in April of 2022. So sometimes these videos take a life of its own in terms of when I shoot particular parts of it. But we finally finished, and I think the next one is going to be Clint Eastwood, since I upgraded a lot of his movies recently. And my Clint Eastwood collection has really been expanding. I only need a few more movies to really complete the Eastwood collection. To a point where I'm really satisfied and I can say I have a full collection. So that would probably be next. I will probably do an updated Al Pacino collection. I will probably do updated collection videos of all the ones I've done previously, because so much has changed. Even the way I film things has changed. So that's going to be interesting. Anyway, do hope you all enjoyed it. Take care. I will see you all soon. How do I always leave you? Stay safe. Stay healthy. And God bless, and we'll see each other very soon. Keep punching.